Hey, welcome to my channel. This is Brandy Barnard from brandystamps.com, and this is the Great American Stampin Show. We are now in season 2, and this is episode 3. I'm so happy that you've joined us. If you're new here, this is a stamping competition where 4 stampers go head to head. We all use the same product. This week we've been assigned the water painters, and we create our best project. We make a video out of it. You check out the videos and you give a thumbs up to the one that you love the best. So this is my video. Hopefully you'll love it. Give it a thumbs up if you do. My competitors' videos can all be found in my description. There are links to each one. Please go watch all of them. Check out all the fun creative ideas with the water painters and just give a thumbs up to the one that you like most. Now, why am I wearing a crown, you might say, other than I'm just a princess in my daily life? No, I was the winner from last week. This was my gilded leafing project, and I appreciate all of your votes. I was crowned the winner, and so I'm excited about that, but this is a whole new competition. So let's get started. Okay, so water painters. This is the product that we are featuring this week. So it comes in this pouch. There are 3 in the set. Let's check these out. It's basically a self-watering brush for watercoloring. And so let's take the lid off here. This one has a nice wide tip brush where I get kind of that width, but not the thickness. And I can do kind of big swishes of color. In here, it's full of water. And so there's a valve right here in the middle that as you're painting, it allows a small amount of water to continue to flow down through the brush. So you can dip in color, paint, clean it off on a, just paint on a scratch paper till you're out of color, and then just dip in more color. So gone is the cup that you would rinse your brush in that the water would get all gross. This just continues to give you clean water out of your valve. There's also in the set 2 other brushes. So this is kind of a long one that's narrow. And then there's also this little one where you can do smaller details. Okay, and so this just screws off. Twist, twist, twist. This is exactly like a tall, skinny cup. You just put it under your sink. Let a small stream of water run in there. The fill line is right up here. And then this top part will just screw back into place. And when you're not using them, you don't need to empty them out. I've never had any trouble with leaking or anything like that. You just cap them again and come back to them later when you're ready to use them again. So let's try this out. I'm going to use the thick brush. This one I've been using in blue, so it's a little bit stained. And since I'm using blue again, I thought I'll go to that one. This is my Blueberry Bushel ink pad. I'm just going to open it right up, and so I have access into the lid right here, and I'll just paint from here. This is going to be kind of my little reservoir. I'll give it a few drops of color so I can access that. I've got a couple sheets of white cardstock here. This is just basic white. It's not even the thick white cardstock. Now, if you're planning to use a lot of water, you can use something like the thick white, or you can use the watercolor paper that we have that absorbs water. I'm just going to use the basic white because I figure you might have some of that at home, and you can go ahead and try this technique today. So the first thing I'm going to do is squeeze this. There's a little thing on the side right here that says push, so I have official permission. I can push it and allow a bunch of water to start flowing out. So see, I've got a bunch of water chilling here. I'll get some blue into it. So here's some of kind of my light blue. Now what I want to do is a watercolor wash that'll go top to bottom all over this background. So I want to start with the darkest part down here. And I'm kind of squeezing while I do this so more water will keep coming. I'm just going to paint all the way to the top. So see how the darkest part was at the bottom because I had so much color on my brush. I'm letting more and more water come. Now that's going to bow a little bit while it's trying to dry. Let's do another one here. The cool part about this, or stressful part, is that it turns out different literally every time. So it's very artistic, very fun, but you are not going to get the exact same effect every time. So don't even try for that. Just embrace the kind of inconsistency and surprise every time. Now on the second one, while it's super, super wet, I'm going to do something unexpected. because I want to show you what this does. I've got a little bit of table salt in a little cup here, and I'm just going to sprinkle it on there. This is just regular salt that I might put on my green beans at dinner tonight. And now let's hold these so they'll dry a little bit, and I'm going to want to set these aside to dry. One thing you'll want to do before you put your ink pad away, come in here with a tissue or a paper towel, and let's just get that out. A little bit of ink isn't a bad thing in the lid, but I put a lot of water in there too, and I wouldn't want that to get down onto my regular ink pad. For this card, I'm going to do a little bit of a different card base. So I'm taking a full sheet of Blueberry Bushel. This is 8.5 by 11, and I'm just scoring it exactly in half both directions. So this first direction is at 4 1/4. I'm just going to use my scoring blade to make a score line there. Now I will rotate and put this at 5 1/2. The next thing I want to do is to actually cut this paper diagonally in half. Now the diagonal measurement is more like 14 inches from corner to corner, so this trimmer is not big enough. You could use a long ruler and an X-Acto knife, or I just have a larger cutter. So I'm going to take it over to my larger cutter and do that diagonal cut. So here are the two pieces that I got, and I've got enough to do 2 cards here. So I'll just set one of these aside. And this one can be the card that we do in the video today. So this part is going to just fold up, and we'll use bone folder to get it creased nicely. And this one will fold inward. And so these kind of meet in the middle to create our card front. To hold this card shut when we are sending it out, we're going to use a belly band. So I've just cut a piece of black cardstock that is 3/4 inch by 11. And I'll just kind of lay it across the front here. So this is approximately how I want it to look. And then we'll just fold it around the card. So tight, but not too tight. We'll kind of get our folds there. And so now we've got an idea of how the belly band's gonna look. So what's gonna go on the front of this card? I reached for my Submarine Life stamp set. This is one of the new sets from our current mini catalog, and it has an awesome coordinating punch that'll punch out your matching submarine, super fun. We've created a watercolor wash background for this card, so what could go better than a submarine? So I've got my Lemon Lime Twist ink pad, and we'll just jump in here with the submarine stamp, get it really, really inked up, and stamp. Use the punch upside down to clip this out. And then it cuts out this cute little kind of periscope and propeller pieces too, which I'm not using on this project, but are really fun. So this is about where I'm going to put my submarine. I wanted to add another detail on the front of this belly band, and it's the round and square brads. I've heard a few people say that this is an embellishment in the catalog that they have never ever used. You should check these out. It has really tiny circle brads and larger square brads in both black and white. So I'm going to use the square ones in the white color. I want my submarine about here, and I'm just going to grab my take your pick tool, the piercer end, and give myself a little marking where I want my brads. So one about here, and then over on this side we'll go one there and one here. So that's not a big enough hole to actually place the brad, but that's just going to give me an indicator of where I want to place the brad. So I haven't glued that band shut yet for this reason. I'm not finished. I'm going to make this hole bigger, and this one too. And now this is ready for the brads to go in. So I'll just kind of place them. I want them to be on a diagonal. So I'll get it in there and then rotate it how I like it. Then I will open the brad, get it really secure. I just do that from the front by pressing hard down onto it. So it's really kind of pressed open. And then these have really long prongs that might get in the way of things. So you can use like the clipper end of pliers, or you can use like a really strong utility scissors just to trim those ends off. And I like to do it after the brad is already placed so that, I don't know, it's right where I want it. So repeat with the others. I have also stamped the submarine in Versamark and embossed it in black. So I have this real shiny submarine in black, and I'm going to use my paper snips to just cut out the windows so that I can place these windows with the nice glossy black frame onto my lime green submarine. So there are my 3 little windows, and I'll just use my multi-purpose liquid glue to glue those on. So put a little blob of glue over each window and place those. Okay, let's come back over to our card. We are ready to actually attach our belly band closed. So let's roll a bit of our Seal Plus. Get it lined up so it's pretty in the back. Make sure it slides on fairly easily. And then we can attach our submarine with a couple of Stampin' Dimensionals here. Okay, let's see what these papers look like when they're dry. So here's one that's all dry. It's curled a bit, you've got some waving on the cardstock. The way I flatten this out, I'll get just a piece of scratch paper, like copy paper from your printer, lay it down on your ironing board, lay this down face down on it, that's just so you won't get transfer of color. Heat up your iron to the highest heat setting, but with no steam. And just iron the back of it and then lay a book on top of it for a few moments while it cools. And then you'll get something like this. So it's not 100% flat, but it is evened out, like there's no warping anymore. And so using my Seal Plus, when I glue this down, I can hold it down completely flat. Now that's just my way of using basic cardstock instead of a fancy cardstock. Look at these two. This version is the one that had no salt on it, and this is the one that had salt. It really gives it this extra texture that gives it a really fun kind of underwater vibe. So I wanted to show that to you. I didn't actually use this one on my finished project because I'm going to do a whole bunch of stamping, and so it ends up getting a lot of texture anyway. So I'm grabbing my Blueberry Bushel ink pad, and I'm using several of the stamps that come in the submarine stamp set. So let's start with this ocean floor. That one's gonna go down here, right across our ocean floor, you guessed it. Let's do a few of these. These are kind of more wispy. I stamped off so these would be a little bit lighter. I feel like we're deep under the ocean in that mysterious place. Everything would have a blue tinge to it. So I'm just doing all of my stamping in Blueberry Bushel. So here's some really fun little seaweed. These guys are so cute. They have a fun little smile. Give these guys some bubbles. Maybe just a couple more that go a little higher. Now let's do our greeting. You are sublime. Get it? Because it's a sublime, and it's lime colored. Oh my goodness. And I'll do just a few more bubbles coming up along there. To fancy this up a little, I'm going to use my Wink of Stella glitter brush. This is actually kind of similar to the water painters. It has a valve in here that allows the glitter water to keep flowing. It says push right there. I wouldn't recommend a lot of pushing with this because if a lot comes out at once, you will have a lot more glitter than you bargained for. But I'm just kind of tapping a little glitter right into my bubbles. And this really, I hope it'll show on camera, but in person, this gives it a really lovely effect with all that sparkle. We'll do a little glitter on these little front seaweeds too. Okay. Now this piece is ready to be attached to the card front, but what we actually need are 2 triangles, not one big piece. To start out, this piece was 4 by 5 1/4, so just a little smaller than this card front. And I'm going to put it in my trimmer, and I just kind of line it up so I can see that the corner is right in my cutting trough, and this corner is right in my other cutting trough, for a lack of a fancier name. And we'll cut from here to there. And that's what we've got. Now, because I've got a little bit of a curl here, I'm going to use a healthy amount of Seal Plus to attach these pieces to their spots. A little right in the corner. Kind of gauge it from your corner. You can tell how to line it up from there. Okay, so now I've got my cute little two-tone, and we can slide our submarine right on here. Look how when this lines up, you get kind of the bubbles coming right up from the sub. Isn't that cute? Now, one extra detail that I added, let's open this up. Won't your recipient have so much fun? "You are sublime" is such a sweet thing to say for any time, even for birthday or whatever. And look at this piece I've added on the inside. This is just 5 1/4 by 4. And I did a little bit of embossing in white, a little bit of wave, one of these darling little guys wearing his scuba mask, and now I can tell my recipient just why I think they are so very sublime. And that's our card for today, guys. Well, thanks for stamping with me today, you guys. I hope you loved the submarine card and my take on what to do with the water painters. If you love my project, give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a single thing. You can find a playlist of all the past Great American Stampin' Show episodes on my channel. And I will see you back here in 2 weeks with episode 4.